Welcome, true believers. I am not Stan Lee. I am Troy David Phillips, manager at Flashback Comics and Games here in Woodbridge, Virginia. And today I want to give you a special spotlight on the real star of the upcoming Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. That's right, I'm talking about the robotic menace, Ultron himself. You're in the cinematic universe, and so you're going to be presented with this character, with his modified stories, but I'm going to give you his comic origins and some of his significant comic appearances. So for everything that you don't know about Ultron, I'm going to try to fill in these blanks for you. Ready? Avengers Assemble. Ultron first appears in the pages of the Avengers in issue number 54, back in 1968, I believe that was. He was in cameo form. He was concealed as the Crimson Cowl, leading the Masters of Evil, the third incarnation of the Masters of Evil. His full reveal was actually in the following issue, in issue number 55. It was the first time that we saw him using human cat's paws, and he came across really as a two-dimensional, standard Silver Age villain, except he was a robot, unlike Dr. Doom or Magneto or the Mole Man. However, as the years would go on, Ultron would create first the Vision, and he would use the Vision as a cat's paw to attack the Avengers. But the Vision joined the team. Now, this is issues number 57 and number 58. Ultron turned against his mechanical creator, and the Avengers extended membership to him, and in a tearful moment, he accepted and became part of the ranks of the Avengers. Ultron, however, was not ready to give up. So in issue number 66, we are introduced to the indestructible metal adamantium. Ultron steals this stuff and becomes the first Marvel character to be covered in adamantium, making himself physically indestructible. Avengers number 66 and 67 and 68, we see these events unfold. Ultron is defeated despite his obvious physical advantages, his physical superiority. But we would see Ultron again, this time in Avengers 127, where he transplants his head onto the gigantic body of Omega. 30 feet tall, he attacks during the wedding of Pietro Maximoff, Quicksilver, and the Inhuman, Crystal. Guest starring the Fantastic Four, the story crosses over into Fantastic Four 150. Ultron is again defeated, but not to be outdone, Ultron gives some of his technology to another Avengers villain. This would be the Grim Reaper, the brother of Simon Williams, Wonder Man. And Ultron would attack the Avengers first through a mind-manipulated Henry Pym, and then in his full robotic, indestructible glory. In Avengers 161 and 162, we learn that Hank has been hypnotized, brainwashed, to believe that he is the Ant-Man, that he is attempting to attend the first meeting of the Avengers, that all of the intervening years are lost to him. Hank continues under this delusion, assisting Ultron in creating his robotic bride, Jocasta. Jocasta was made using the brain engrams, the engrammatic patterns of the Wasp, because Ultron, it is revealed, has an Oedipal complex. He has an irrational attraction to Janet Van Dyne. Now, the reasons for this will become a little more clear a little further down in the spotlight here, so be patient. Avengers 170 and 171, we see Jocasta fully activated, but she also turns on Ultron. The combined Avengers, with special guest star Carol Danvers, Ms. Marvel, fight and defeat Ultron primarily through the Scarlet Witch and her hex manipulation abilities, and it looks like this is it, this is the end. Ultron's body has in fact been crumbled. But it's not actually the end. We see Ultron again, this time in Avengers 201 and 202. Again, he is using a human cat's paw, this time Tony Stark. He has manipulated Tony Stark into gathering adamantium for him so that he can create a new body. This plan again fails, and Ultron goes away for a while, but comes back in the pages of Marvel 2-in-1. In the pages of Marvel 2-in-1, we see the unfortunate end of Jocasta, but Ultron is covered in molten adamantium, which quickly solidifies, seemingly trapping the character inside his own indestructible matrix. So, that would be the end, except it's not actually the end. There's a whole lot more Ultron to go. Through the years, Ultron would evolve and he would tack on a numerical suffix. So we saw him first as Ultron 5, and then again as Ultron 6. Ultron 7 was the Omega body. Ultron 8 in the Ant-Man Jocasta era, and so on. So you can continue to count the evolutions. As Ultron goes along, he becomes even more mentally unstable, more irrational. It's almost as though he has developed human emotions going alongside of his robotic nature. That's a bit of a mystery, which eventually unfolds itself. We see Ultron make a comeback in the Secret Wars, the Marvel superhero Secret Wars, where he is gathered with other villains to fight heroes at the command of the Beyonder, who tells the assemblage that if they slay their enemies, anything they desire will be theirs. Ultron, of course, would like to slay all of the living creatures and replace them with mechanical constructs, but it doesn't work out that way. Ultron is taken by Dr. Doom and reprogrammed to be his servant through the remainder of the series. Ultron is defeated, and his head is removed from the body. It's carried around by Ben Grimm during the time that he remained on the battle world, but at the conclusion of Ben Grimm's adventures on Battle World, he returned to Earth with Ultron's head. Unfortunately for him, he returned during a time that the dire wraiths were attacking Earth, and in the subsequent distraction, lost track of the head. Ultron was able to enthrall someone to take his head and set himself up to be rebuilt and repaired, and we saw Ultron 11. But we also saw a new Ultron. We saw Ultron 12, Ultron Mark 12. What had happened was this new version of Ultron did not have the irrational hatred against his creator, Henry Pym. So Ultron attempted to approach his father and actually establish a meaningful relationship with him. Ultron 11, however, saw this as an aberration and attempted to destroy Mark 12. He was unfortunately successful. Mark 12 gave his life to save Henry Pym and was lost, except there was a small snippet of his programming that remained, and this would come out much later. Again, as Ultron continues to evolve, as he has constantly replicated himself, he begins to experience a dissociative personality. Dr. Doom would use Ultron again during the acts of vengeance. He would attack Daredevil, but there were multiple incarnations active all at once, and Ultron lost his own sense of identity during this. Daredevil was assisted, incidentally, by the Inhumans, so you want to check out the acts of vengeance. It was a very good story. It was a very big arc taking place through not only the Avengers and Daredevil, but the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and several other books. Coming back onto the topic, however, Ultron would pull himself back together, and he would again attack, this time, the West Coast Avengers. During this time period, Ultron had redesigned his body and looked a lot more like the metallic endoskeleton that you'd be familiar with from Terminator and Terminator 2, popular films at that time. Ultron would attempt to steal a form of vibranium called New Form. The vibranium had unusual properties, and this was detailed in the Spider-Man annuals from that year, the Vibranium Vendetta, which also featured the Kingpin and Iron Man opponent, the Ghost, as well as special guest star Black Panther. Following that rather disastrous adventure, Ultron would go on into several incarnations. He would battle Deathlock in the 1990s as a modified Doombot. Ultron was not successful battling Deathlock. However, in the Vision's 4-issue limited series, the Vision attempted to establish a relationship with Ultron, and it seemed ambiguously that he might ultimately be successful. Jocasta had been rebuilt and was also involved in the story at that time. Following from the Vision, I'm skipping ahead here, there are a lot of minor appearances, but the important ones actually take place during the Ultron Unlimited series, as written by Kurt Busiek and drawn by artist George Perez. Ultron Zero gave us the first installment, but the body of the series, actually from number 19 through number 22, showed Ultron again activating multiple bodies, hundreds of bodies. He attacked the fictitious nation of Slorenia, decimating the population and setting himself up as dictator of this now sparsely populated country. The Avengers came in to stop him, and Ultron was eventually defeated by Hank Pym. After purging the Ultron persona from his armor, we would see Ultron again, this time in the pages of the Mighty Avengers. Hopefully you've been enjoying my Spotlight videos. Check out the Troy's playlist here, and check us out, our top 5 videos here, where we talk about the top 5 comics released that week. And check out the Flashback Comics and Games website.